Hello and welcome to this presentation on UST and expansion into the Russian market. We have a lot to cover, so we'll get started soon. My name is Drake Buddy and I'll be doing this presentation. So some of our goals, UST, we are a seller of organic tea products based in the United States, but unfortunately our sales domestically have been dropping, so we are considering foreign expansion as an opportunity to make up the lost market. So the country we are looking at for expanding is Russia, which currently has tea sales in our market of 1.3 billion annually. This is organic teas. To make up our lost market share in the United States, we would need 15.4 million or 1.18% of the total market. So kind of doing a quick pestle analysis of the country, political. In the past, Russia has been part of the Soviet Union, which was a communist nation. But in the 90s, the Soviet Union broke up into several smaller republics, after which point Russia became more of a capitalist country with an elected government. Economic troubles in Russia, they continued throughout the 90s, but as of late, Russia's been on the uptick economically, and in 2019 had a gross domestic product of 1.7 trillion US dollars. Social, as Russia leaves communism behind, the people are beginning to enjoy more liberties and religious freedoms, as well as less government regulation on their lives. Technological, Russians are on pace with the rest of the EU in terms of technology, the European Union. Legal, importing of goods must run through either a different EU country or a customs broker. Since the United States is not an EU country, to import our product, we would have to either run through an EU country or a broker of some kind. More on that to follow, and as the Russian economy grows the Russian people find themselves with more disposable income and more luxuries, which would be good for our market. Some cultural considerations, individualist versus collectivist. Historically, Russia has been more of a collectivist country like its Asian neighbors. During the 1700s, Russia became more westernized, but still scores pretty high on the collectivist end of the spectrum, opting oftentimes for expressions such as we and us rather than I or me, viewing more the group as the more important rather than the individual. Power distance, according to Holstein, most of the imports and power reside in Moscow, and there is a great power distance. This refers to the perceived social distance between someone who does have power and someone who does not have power. So, for example, in Russia, if I'm an entry-level employee, I'm going to maintain a great distance and a great level of respect and a great level of formality with people who are in management. This is something that's very different from the United States, where we see low power distance. Masculine versus feminine cultures. Masculine cultures tend to value competition and winning. Feminine cultures tend to value relationships and nurturing. Russia is typically seen more as a feminine culture, which could work in our favor as the practice of sitting and sharing a drink together is a lot more prevalent. Uncertainty avoidance. Russia has a high uncertainty avoidance. Uncertainty avoidance refers to the willingness of individuals within a cultural setting to deal with uncertain situations. Since Russia has a high uncertainty avoidance, that means that they are very reluctant and slow to try something new, which could be a little more challenging breaking into a new market. Long-term orientation. This refers to a country's view of honoring traditions versus accepting change quickly. Russia scores high in this dimension, meaning that they are quick to accept social change, which again could work well as we build a niche market as a social activity in Russia. Indulgence. This dimension refers to the level of restraint an individual shows in their interactions. Russia scores low here, which means that there is a high level of restraint, meaning that social interactions tend to be very stylized, very systematic, not quite the informal, say hi to that stranger in the grocery line that you might see in the United States. And some notes on Russian business practice. They have a mentality when dealing with businesses that are outsiders. They tend not to be trusted. If you're not Russian, they're less likely to trust you, which could create difficulties for UST. Russia business meetings tend to have their own set of rules and etiquette, which can differ significantly from the US. And for UST, if the individuals dealing with the Russian business sector are unaware of this, it could backfire on the company. Imports are highly regulated. We already mentioned that they can only come through the EU or a customs broker. And other factors that need to be considered, of course, the uncertainty, avoidance, power distance, and the social as well as collective mindsets. A communication strategy for expanding in Russia. The Russian market is reached easily by both internet and traditional media, such as television and print. This could create a wide array of opportunities, but again, the Russians distrust foreigners, and first impressions are very difficult to overcome in the Russian culture. So our plan would be to then partner with a Russian marketing firm. We will communicate with them that we want to position ourselves as a social drink to sit around and share with friends, and use their assistance to develop a Russia-friendly means of communicating that image. Labor considerations, like the United States, Russia does have regulations regarding safety, much like our OSHA laws here in the United States. The laws that exist in Russia are similar regarding benefits, minimum wage, child labor, guaranteed benefits, but unlike the United States, Russia mandates employers to provide paid maternity leave for female employees. And additionally, Russia forbids discrimination in employment decisions based on gender. Well, we also have that in the United States. And despite all these laws, underemployment continues to be an issue for the Russian people. So our proposed structure and expansion plan for importation due to Russia's custom laws, we will go through a customs broker. And what will happen is we will operate a central warehouse in Moscow where most of the imports come. And from there, we can distribute across the country. For the operations of the Moscow warehouse, we will hire Russian workers and a Russian workforce, which will include a management which will report to the American headquarters. They will have kind of a central set of standards that they are expected to meet, but will be given the autonomy to apply those standards in a way that works well with the Russian culture and the Russian workforce. And then the Russian people have a high risk avoidance. Therefore, instead of our standard process of selling to wholesalers and the wholesalers to retail, we will use more of a consignment system where the product is technically UST property until the final customer purchases it in the retail store, which means that if it doesn't sell or if there is loss due to damage, UST is going to be taking that loss on themselves, not the retailer. But the upside is it reduces the risk for the retailer. The retailer does not actually pay for it or take possession of it until the final customer purchases it, at which point the retailer takes their share and the rest of the money goes to UST. This takes the risk off of the retailers and onto UST, which will be riskier for our market, but will make it easier to convince these high-risk avoidance retailers to carry our product. Without this system of distribution, it's going to be a whole lot more difficult to get customers and to get retail stores to carry the UST product. So we already kind of discussed this. The product will arrive at our warehouse and then be shipped out to our different retailers, and UST will maintain possession until it's finally sold, at which point the retailer takes their cut and we take ours. So, and also due to the unique nature of the market, we will hire a dedicated sales team for this market. So we'll have a set group that their specific job is to be experts in the Russian market, in the Russian culture, and in interacting with the Russian people, to serve as liaisons between UST and our Russian business sector, so that we are less likely to run into those faux pas of cross-cultural miscommunications, and so that the Russians can have a group that they feel particularly comfortable with, and that they feel that they can depend on. And then rebranding. While Russia is open to Christianity, it is suspect, again, of anything foreign. And because of their collectivist culture, our slogan of God loves you, you are a miracle, keep looking up, is probably not going to be taken quite as well as it is in the United States market. I mean, it is a great idea, great concept, but in a collectivist culture where the group is the important thing, not the individual, it's just not going to have the same effect that it would have here in the United States. So our idea is to rebrand ourselves. The suggested name is Russian Organics, so that way it kind of covers up a little bit the fact that we are an import, not a Russian brand, which could help drive sales. And a new slogan suggestion, we are the church, we are his bride, operating more from that group mindset of we are important. Not I am important, but we are important to Christ. So any questions?